12 books, right, Chester?
Yes, this
I
is our
think so.
12th
Yeah,
book. That's right.
12th book. Yeah, that's it. And he's the one bestseller, New York Times bestsellers. He has many books. And then, by the way, the important point is he sold more than 2 million copies. Yeah, 2 million, guys. And it's a business book, not a romance or something like that. So for that reason, that's very important. And by the way, 30 languages. Their books translated to 30 languages. And then the Carrot Principle, the first book, if I'm not wrong, right, Chester?
Yeah.
Yes, it's in Turkish, by the way.
Yes.
The Carrot Principle, yes. And What Motivates Me, we translated it in Turkish. And then there are a few things I have to tell about Chester. He is the organizational culture expert on employee engagement. It's a very important point for everybody nowadays. Teamwork. He's the executive coach. Marshall Goldsmith 100 coaches. He's the member of that group, and he's been called. I love this. I have to tell. He's been called the Apostle of Appreciation by Canada's largest newspaper, Globe and Mail. Right, Chester?
That's right. And I'm a proud Canadian.
Yeah. And he's creative and refreshing, say, by the New York Times, and a must read for modern managers by CNN. As you can see, Chester is very popular and he's a great guy and he has a big energy. I know him. And Chester, again and again, thank you very much for your time, for sharing your knowledge with us. Is there anything that I missed, or would you like to add something on it?
You know, the wonderful introduction. Thank you, Alper. I am
Chester.
also the proud father of 4 exceptional children and now 2 grandchildren. So we are very excited about that.
Wow.
You know, I want to say, and I hope I say this right, so Alper, coach me up. Marhaba and tushakir.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it.
Good.
Thank you for accepting us. Thank you, Chester.
Yes. I want to thank HRthinks.
Thank you.
You know, we have been friends for a long time. You know, I want to share with you first and foremost, as we're going through these really unusual times, Adrian Dostig is my co-author, and we wrote a book called All In about culture. And it was interesting. We wrote that book right after the last big recession in 2007, 2008, 2009. And it was interesting that we put together what we call an all-in roadmap. Different things that you needed to create a really engaging culture. It included, you know, having a burning platform or a noble cause, you know, focusing on the customer, being agile. And by the way, even though we can't share these slides, I'm going to send them to Alper so that we can send it out to all of you later. It talked about being agile, and particularly now, as we need to reinvent our businesses, we need to be very agile, be able to innovate and keep going. We talked about sharing everything and partnering with your talent, being very transparent. And we're going to get into some very specific case studies on why that is so important. We talked about cheering for each other, how important that is to up your gratitude, particularly when you're going through tough times, and then to hold each other accountable. So we came up with a definition that I really like about winning cultures, that you need to believe what you do matters and you make a difference. And I always add to that, when you make a difference, someone noticed it and celebrated it, right? We use the metaphor of the carrot, and I've probably got one here somewhere. Anyway, it's this idea that my voice is heard and I'm appreciated. Okay, so we talk about these unusual times. Well, our database is really rich. We now have a database, and it is a global database of over 1 million engagement surveys. Now, when we looked at culture, we actually had a database of well over 8 million. And what we did is we looked at organizations that were above and beyond the, you know, that produced 2 to 3 times everyone else in their industry. And we boiled that down to 300,000 surveys. And that's where we really took the database for culture. Now, we're talking about especially tough times. It's really interesting to say, what do we do now? What can we do in tough times that is going to help mitigate what we're doing? Well, you know, when you think about it with the virus, we first talked about risk elimination, right?
Right.
Well, we're not talking about that anymore because it's gone pandemic. You know, with the bird flu, it was contained and it was eliminated. With the Ebola virus, it was contained, it was eliminated. What we're talking about now is risk mitigation. It's not elimination anymore, it's mitigation. So what are we going to do to change the way we do business? There's going to be, you know, your employees want to know, what is the plan? So you need to develop new social protocols tied to the new mood, right? What are those protocols? Now, we talk about 200% accountability. What I mean by that is, look, I can hold myself accountable. I'm going to use social distancing. I'm going to wear a mask. I'm going to make sure I clean my station, whatever that might be. If I see Alper not doing that, I need to hold him accountable as well. So that's 200% or 360-degree accountability. Here's what's key, is you need to have created a culture where that's okay to do. It's okay to hold each other accountable and no one takes offense, okay? We need to help our customers feel safe working with us. You know, in the grocery stores here and whatnot, they've put marks on the floor so people are spaced. You know, they're cleaning things more often. Our stores are closing early so they can disinfect and have time to do that. And they communicate that with the customers, right? So we're closing early because we need to clean to keep you safe. So the other thing is new options. What are we going to be doing to give our clients new options to work with us? You know, is it going to be for restaurants? Is it curbside? Is it delivery? Is it a more robust online offering? Those kinds of things are going to be very, very important. So again, quick review is, we're talking about mitigation now. What are your new social protocols? Are you in a 200% accountability culture where people won't take offense? Are you helping your customers feel safe? And how are you changing for new protocols? Let me give you a very specific example. So we're working right now with a large restaurant chain. It's called Texas Roadhouse. They're not in Turkey yet. When they get there, you're going to love it. It's a lot of fun, right?
Okay.
It's, you know, it's Texas, it's cowboys, it's peanuts, it's cold beer, it's loud music, it's hand-cut steaks. And the whole brand for Texas Roadhouse was the restaurant experience. Now, they had takeaway, not a big part of their business. All of a sudden, their restaurants are closed. All the restaurants are closed. Now they've got to be agile. They've got to pivot. How do we make curbside more exciting? Well, in the restaurants, they do line dancing, you know, where everybody lines up and they do fun. Well, can't do that now. Well, you can on the curb. So employees, before they would deliver to the cars, would line up and do a fun line dance. They put in packaged on their menu lower priced family deals so that they could better serve their customers, saying, look, we know money is tight. We're going to make an offer that you can feed your family with great meat, with great vegetables at a very affordable price. Now, we have a Texas Roadhouse in our neighborhood. So Heidi and I, my wife Heidi, we've driven down. They come out to the car, they're wearing masks, they've got their gloves on, they'll put it in the back of your car, they'll do the transactions with your credit card, they wipe it all down with Clorox, they make it fun, they joke with you, it's a great deal. Now, Kent Taylor is the founder. He has 70,000 employees, 600 restaurants. So Alper, here's your skill testing question.
Coming.
Restaurants are closed. He has 70,000 employees. How many do you think he has laid off, that he has had to let go out of 70,000?
Wow, difficult question. None of them? The question is...
Zero. Yes.
Yeah.
Well, other restaurants...
Think.
Yeah. Well, other restaurants are laying off half their staff.
Unfortunately, yeah. In Turkey, it's the same,
He hasn't
by
laid
the
off
way.
one. Exactly. Here's why. Kent says, look, it's all about my people. I take care of my people. my customers, and my community. I take care of my people, my customers, and my community. So taking care of his people, let's figure out ways so that everybody can stay employed. He started, by the way, the grocery stores have started to run out of meat. So he says, look, I got a lot of meat. I'm going to sell you raw meat. You take it home and barbecue it yourself. You know, really hand cut. So he keeps his meat cutters busy. He supplies meat to the community, and he's keeping his people employed. Really innovative. You know, his online app is more robust. Well, let me give you another example. WD-40. Do you know WD-40, Alper?
No.
So WD-40 is a blue and yellow can for oil.
Ah, yeah. Oil. Yeah.
Yes.
I know it.
WD-40. So we start our book off, Leading with Gratitude, with a story of Gary Ridge. Now, he's a delightful Australian living in San Diego now, global brand. In 2008, recession hits. He starts to visit his various locations around the world. And they say, Gary, are you okay? And he goes, yeah, I'm fine. He goes, everybody, Gary, are you okay? Seriously, are you okay? He goes, yeah, I'm fine. So he calls his wife and he says, honey, do I look sick? Like, do I give off I'm a not well vibe? She says, honey, they're not asking, are you okay? They're asking, are we okay? Are we okay as a company? Everywhere they go, they're hearing horror stories, companies going out of business, people being laid off. Yeah. So here's what he does, and you'll love this, Alper, and it's a great lesson in leadership in crisis.
Taking my notes.
He says, let's not waste a good crisis. Let's not waste it. He says, everywhere people go, they're going to get bad news. When they come to WD-40, they're going to hear about hope. So in a crisis, you've got to give your people the roadmap to hope. Now, in a crisis is where great leaders are forged. That's where great leaders are made. You think of the best leaders, right? When did they become great leaders? In hard times, right? So here's what he did. He said, look, let's set up the rules. This is really important. If you're going to write something down, write this down. He said, in a crisis, there's going to be no lying, no faking, and no hiding conversations. So it's going to be really safe. He said, look, we have good reserves. We're not going to lay off anybody. And we're going to up our game. We're going to invest in research, and we're going to invest in our people, in leadership development, in education. We're going to double down. We're going to communicate every day. So first rule, no lying, no faking, no hiding conversations. Second rule, we're going to communicate every day. Because when there's a void, when there's no communication, that void is filled with fear. So if you want to take fear out of the equation, communicate every day. Focus on people development. That was another big thing. Education. And we're going to take gratitude 2 to 3 times more than what we had before. Now, this is important. Always tied to the core values. We're not going to just say, hey, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. It's going to be tied to the core values, because those core values are what are going to take us through this crisis. So Alper, 2010, recession's over. First year out, record earnings for WD-40, a 300% increase in their market cap. And get this, employee engagement was at 99%. 99%. Wow. Now, globally, engagement is around 33%. So 3 times as high. In a crisis, when you would think that that would probably go down. Why didn't it? Open and honest communication, no faking, no lying, communicating every day, and investing in their people. Well, interesting, the research we did for that, again, 8 million engagement surveys culled down to 300,000 of the best companies. The key here was How do you engage people in hard times? Communication, 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 and upping your gratitude. We talked about the 3 E's, and you'll be familiar with this, Alper. Engage, enable, and energize your employees. It's not enough just to engage them. You've got to enable them. Do they have the tools to deliver on the job? You know, whether it's a restaurant, are you supplying enough food? You know, if it's online, now you've got to work from home. Do you have a good internet connection? Do you have a reliable laptop? Do you have, you know, a schedule that's put together? All those things are important. And it's really interesting that energy part, engage, enable, and energy, that's tying to your noble cause. Am I making a difference? And how am I making a difference? Well, when you add those 3 together, the research showed, what we discovered is operating margins were doubled. You know, engaged organizations, about a 10% operating margin, you know, 14% if you're highly engaged. You add enablement and energy, it doubles productivity. And it was really interesting. So what were the drivers of engagement? Opportunity and well-being, trust, high levels of trust, which comes with communication, and pride in the organization. Now think about WD-40, think of the restaurant, not laying off anybody, investing in people. Do you think they're proud to tell people where they work? Absolutely. Sure. Do you think that when it's over, they're going to go work for somebody for $1 an hour more?
Never. I don't think so.
See, the loyalty that you build up in your culture of being trusted, being valued, when the crisis hits, that's where it pays dividends. And you can't just turn it on, right? Trust, you earn trust over time, right, Alper?
Yeah, sure. You can do.
What are some ways you've seen leaders that have developed trust over time? What have they done?
Oh, they must be honest, and they never lie.
Absolutely. And they're dependable. One of the things I love is they speak the truth and they're kind. More than anything, they show up. Leaders show up. In a crisis, they show up. And I think that's so, so important. Well, it brings us to leading with gratitude. So we get that culture is really important. How do you lead with gratitude, right? We took a look at the best leaders we could find. And we said, look, we're going to look at what are some of the things they do? 3 things. They engaged the hearts and minds of their people. They focused everyone on the right behaviors, right? They focused at the task in hand, and they kept hope alive. They were encouraging of their people. Now, we call this Gratitude 101, right? The first course you take in university, Gratitude 101. One of the leaders that we interviewed is a guy named Alan Mulally. Now, Alan is really interesting. He is the guy that saved the Ford Motor Company from the depths of extinction, right? Said, look, they brought him in from Boeing. And it's really interesting, Alper, because I lived in Detroit for a little while. And the automotive industry, it's sharp elbows. It's eat what you kill. And it's, you know, kill or be killed, right? So Alan shows up, and the first thing he says is, leadership is about people. Appreciating them, loving them, and thanking them every step of the way. You know, when he first showed up, everybody said, you got to be kidding me. Come on, we're building cars here. You know, gratitude, nice to have, not a must have. Well, he said, hey, I'm not kidding. It's about your people. Love them up. I like, love them up, Chess, love them up, right? Here's what happened. He said, look, we've got an engagement score of about 20%, below the national average. They had all these different brands. You know, they owned Volvo, they owned Range Rover, Jaguar. They were all separate companies, and they were all competing with each other. And they were on a steady decline. Get this, they were on track the year he joined, which is 2006, to lose $17 billion. Billion.
17 billion. Billion?
In 1 year. So he said, look, we've got to hold each other accountable. So he says, we're on track to lose $17 billion. And in October that year, we realized that goal. We hit that goal. We lost 17 billion. So thumbs up, right? So he says, look, we're gonna hold ourselves accountable. So he developed a very simple system. Put your project on the screen. If you're doing well, it's green. If you're on track, not quite to goal yet, it's yellow. And if you've got problems, it's red. Now understand, he comes into a culture where they don't trust each other. So first meeting, everybody puts their projects up. It's all green. It's okay. Well, it's going to take a while for them to figure it out. Second meeting, all green. Third meeting, all green. And he says, guys, we just lost $17 billion. How is it possible that it's all green? How is that possible? So it was because no one wanted to take a risk. Well, Mark Fields, who was in charge of North America, the next meeting, he puts up a red square. And everybody gasps. They figure his career's over. Alan at the top of the table starts this slow clap. He said, good for you, Mark. He goes, look, Mark has a problem. Mark is not the problem. I love that. You have a really problem. Nice. You are not the problem. No, not the problem. So how can we help? How can we help Mark? Everybody pitched in. They solved the problem. They moved on. Now, Alan Mulally made it safe to say, I got a problem. He made it safe. So Ford, through the crisis, a great lesson for us now. He focused on small wins. Somebody admitted they had a problem. That's a win. Share everything. Enhancing trust, right? Staying optimistic. Look, if we do this, it's going to work, right? And here are all the little victories along the way. And then he said, look, we're going to form a one Ford culture. We're not going to compete with each other. Even in smaller companies, right? Sometimes accounting is in competition with sales or R&D. You know what I mean? Customer service, all those sales guys, right? Break down those barriers. I love this quote. Alan says, by withholding our gratitude in tough times, we end up shooting ourselves in the foot. We need to jolt ourselves out of our self-centeredness. And when we are more grateful, everybody's more engaged. Everybody's more productive. Wow. Well, when he left Ford Motor Company, they had a 90% engagement score, not just for the Ford employees, also for the unions, which I thought was really interesting. So, okay, lots of good stories. Now,
Alper,